All right, there are the odds for the teams that didn't make it to the playoffs last year getting there this year. And history tells us roughly half of the playoff teams don't make it back, which means there are openings for teams that didn't make it. We're going to do a draft today of the teams that didn't make it last year that can crash the party this year. Peter, you have the first pick.
I mean, I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm probably going to pick the Chargers to win the division in my prediction column on Monday. I just think they've answered their biggest problems that they had in the offseason. I will be very surprised if they don't win 11 games.
I almost did a double take when I saw the Ravens on there. It's so hard to envision them as not being a playoff team, but they didn't make it last year. I think they do make it this year. It won't be easy, very difficult in the AFC, but I think the Ravens, you talked about earlier about how much healthier they are than last year. They had all those injuries. The ACL, it was like every day, another ACL, another ACL. They stay healthy this year. They're in the playoffs, guaranteed for 2022.
Mike, my next team is going to be the Saints. And one of the things about the Saints that really interests me right now is that last year, Dennis Allen told me this in camp. He said last year, probably our receiver group was our Achilles heel, because Michael Thomas is hurt. They've got other injuries. And now with Michael Thomas, and you don't really know what you get out of him, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and a guy who I think is going to be the best rookie receiver in the NFL, Chris Olavey. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to watch them. Obviously, the key is Jameis Winston. But the one thing I look at when I look at the Saints is they have the Bucs figured out. They are in the regular season, in Tom Brady's 2 years, they have beaten the Bucs all 4 times that they've played them. And think about this, Mike. Not a single one of those games, not a single one of those 4 games has been a one-score game. And they've beaten them by 9, 11, and 20-something. And, to me, that's not an outlier. And so I think the Saints are going to be an explosive team. It's just, Jameis Winston is a huge factor. But I'll tell you this, Andy Dalton could be the most important backup quarterback east of Jimmy Garoppolo in 2022.
My big question about the Saints, and maybe we can touch on this next Friday, who replaces Sean Payton? Because we just kind of shrug. Everything's the same except Payton. Well, it's kind of a big deal to not have Sean Payton because he busted his ass every day, constantly looking for ideas, studying film, being creative, pushing everybody else. Who steps into that role offensively for Sean Payton? I think that is an underrated question going into the season. I'm going to go with the Vikings. If Sims were here, I would say blow the horn, and he would go, oh. I just think that the NFC right now, there aren't enough good teams. I think the offense is going to be a lot better with Zimmer gone and Kevin O'Connell in charge, and the defense doesn't have to be much better than the crap that it was last year for them to get to the playoffs again after a 2-year drought. All right, 2 rounds done, 1 to go. The playoff party crashers for 2022, those who didn't make it last year, who we think will make it this year. Peter, you're up for round 3.
My third team in this derby is the Indianapolis Colts. I'm buying the Matt Ryan Kool-Aid, or I'm drinking it, whatever. That's the worst metaphor in NFL history. I am also saying that Jonathan Taylor was not a one-year fluke, and that his 1,811 yards last year, I won't be surprised if he comes very close to repeating that. And if he touches the ball 375 times, which is a very non-2022 modern day football thing for a running back. But I think you're going to see Matt Ryan go to him more out of the backfield on those short little dump off routes. The one other thing I would say about the Colts, I'm keeping my eyes on Shaquille Leonard, Shaq Leonard, formerly Darius Leonard. I'm keeping my eyes on him because he says all is well, everything is fine. My calf/back injury is okay. I'm just keeping my eyes on that a little bit. He's the best player on that defense, and I think he is vitally important to that defense. So I'm just keeping my eyes on him this year.
I agree with you. He recently said he's not going to play until he feels completely ready to go, which tells me he's not completely ready to go, even though there's some optimism he'll be out there week 1. I'm looking at the odds that we showed earlier, and I see the Broncos at -145. And, man, I don't know. In that division and in that conference, I think it's a lot to expect with all the changes that they're making. They could be really good, but I don't know that I have a lot of confidence there. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been close but no cigar the past couple of years. I'm a big believer in Mike McDaniel. Tuanon is going to be delighted that I've included the Dolphins in this list, but I think that even though there are still questions about Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, they have so many other weapons offensively. Their entire defense, for the most part, is back. The defensive coordinator is still there. They were wreaking havoc last year on teams with their creative blitzing. I think the Dolphins have a pretty good chance of getting in this year, Peter, after they finished so strong last year.
I really like the influence, the imaginative influence of Mike McDaniel, and I think that Tua and especially Tyreek Hill are going to respond well to the every game plan is going to be a snowflake. We're going to do something different every week. So I think the Dolphins are a good pick, Mike.
Well, we won't do anything different every week because every Friday we will have Peter King. He is now back, which means football season is upon us. We're taking Monday off. Enjoy the full weekend of college football, even though I did not enjoy the backyard brawl last night. But, Peter, as we sign off, how do they not play that game every single year? How do they not do that? West Virginia and
Pitt,
Pitt,
it's insane. You go 11
apart.
years without two arch rivals playing each other. What happened? It's crazy.
I don't know, and I don't like it. But I like having you back. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you back here again on Tuesday.
Thanks, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.